Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Deborah Jones, your host of Blue Paper Talk. I have with me tonight our Judge-elect, Naomi Doyle. So before we go talk to her, let's do a little housekeeping. You know, I always talk about coronavirus because it's still a spread. It's more wide than it is now. And this is really the second spread. So you guys have to really be careful because of the flu season. And you need to really go get tested. You take your flu shot or whatever you need to take. And get yourself ready because coronavirus is out there. Keep your mask on. Take care of yourself. Remember, you can get tested at CVS, at the drive-up testing, Walgreens, AFC Urgent Care, Minute Clinic, People's Urgent Care, Quest Diagnostic, Beaumont VA Clinic, MD Kids Pediatrics, Fast Pace Health, Urgent Care. So go out and get tested. All of them are free, and some of them need appointments. So just call before you go. And I know that CVS they do a drive-up, so keep yourself available. So I hear some clicking. What's that? What's the noise? You hear that? You hear that now?
I hear it when you start talking. It clicks.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is when you start talking, I'm gonna put myself on mute, and then maybe it'll work. So tonight we have our Judge-elect Naomi Doyle, and I'm gonna ask her to tell us a little bit about herself. So before she starts questions and interviewing, so just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show and to converse with you and your audience. I'm excited to be here. I am Naomi Showers Doyle. I was recently elected as your next Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1, Place 1 in the July 14th runoff. So thank you all for that. I graduated from Ozan High School. I went on to Lamar to get my bachelor's and my master's in public administration. I've done time in the Texas legislature as an intern, where it was instrumental to me in understanding legislation and law and how we can use that to benefit our community. And then I am currently, and for almost a decade now, have been the elections manager here in Jefferson County. So voting is important to me. We'll talk about a little bit about that. And just making sure that we provide the resources to our community to make sure that they are successful, whether it be voter education or tangible resources to make sure that we all have an equal footing in this society.
Great. I met Naomi a couple of years ago, and she really impressed me when I met her. I was like, okay, um, pretty young lady. Then when I saw her at a concert and she recognized who I was like, okay, now she's good in my book. If you can recognize me, you're good in my book. So anyway, talking about voting. So that's what's going on right now is voting. So let's talk about a little bit about voting right now. So what's going on with voting and everything? How's the crowd and everything?
Well, turnout is amazing. Turnout is, trending to continuously be higher than it was in 2016. We had a record-breaking day on the very first day of early voting. I mean, lines were long, but people stood in those lines. We processed those voters, and I mean, that was so exciting. So, people are turning out, so that's always a plus. We are facing many changes and hurdles that seem to come at us on a weekly basis, from whether it be federal changes or state changes with our governor, the attorney general. So there's different rulings that just keep coming out, and we just have to keep rolling with the punches. But the key thing here is that people understand, while people may be trying to suppress your vote, you need to turn out, you need to go vote your voice, vote for the people who are going to represent you in this community, because there's so many people who don't want us there, and you got to wonder why. Is it because you have the power to be the change that you want to see, to bring the change that you want to see? And that's exactly what it is, and they know it, and it's important that you also exercise that right to vote.
And I too can ditto to what she's saying, because I've seen the record breaking, the people coming out daily, and it's been so exciting, and it makes me feel good because we want to change, and we want to get out there, and the only way we can make a change is to get out and vote. We got to vote like it's our life, and it is your life working out there. So guys, if you hadn't voted yet, please go out and vote. you have November 3rd, which is the actual election day. Go out there, vote. The polls are open right now from 8 to 5. Next week they're open from 7 to 7. So come on, guys, you got to get out there and vote. It's also open this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So everybody need to vote. If you have not voted, go get 7 people. Vote, and then those 7 people go get 7 people. Keep the trend going. So I'm just excited about people coming out and voting. So we know that Naomi is our judge elect. So I need to ask you some questions. Can you explain your judicial philosophy to us?
Yeah, so my more so focus is making sure that there's equity in the way that rulings are delivered in my court, right? So that while we have discretion to take on individual cases and people have, individual needs and different circumstances, that we're being fair across the board, all across the board, Black, white, Hispanic, poverty stricken, or rich, poor, whatever. It doesn't matter. If we are being fair across the board, we're having the same type of philosophy where I hear what you're saying. You're providing me with the information that I need to give an honest understanding of what you're going through and give you an assessment that is best interest for you and more so best interest for our county. And when I say that, and that's something important to me, when I say the best interest for our county, you being successful is in the best interest for our county, but we have to make sure that we're doing things the right way, right? We want to make sure that we're adhering to the law. So my thing is going above and beyond within the confines of the law. And I don't think it's so difficult to do that, but you have to be willing to push the bar a little bit to get that done.
Wow, you're so young and so talented. You just make us feel so good because you very educated about what you're doing. You're very true to what you're doing, and that makes us feel good. So I know Deborah Jones appreciates you.
Thank you.
So anyway, before we get started, then everybody go ahead and hit the share button, and so that you can share, let them know that Naomi is on the line right now. Okay, Miss Doll, do you consider yourself a politician?
No, I don't. I don't even, well, I know what I think a politician is, but I don't believe that that's who I am. I think that I'm a servant, someone who has been called to serve my community, called to represent the people who are voiceless, to encourage the people who are voiceless, and to make sure that we bring equity and fairness across the board. So I take it up as a manner, as a banner that I must uphold. So I don't feel like a politician. I feel like a servant called to do the great work of the Lord. I mean, to be honest, that's what I feel like, because that's why I'm here. So that's what I feel I am.
Well, so how would you balance being an independent judge and an elected official?
So, the great thing about it is in your courtroom, you are the judge, you have the final say. So that's great, because that gives you some confidence in knowing that, what you say basically is what it is. But to me, the key there is that when we don't take that and go and become power hungry, right? Yeah, what you say goes, but are we doing it with the interest of our community at the forefront? And I think that's the piece about being an elected official that should hold us accountable. And if people were to look at it as that kind of relationship, you, the community, hold me, the elected official, accountable by when you go to the polls, when you decide to keep me on, when you come and you express yourself in the job that I'm doing. So yes, you have the understanding that you have the right to make rulings and to be that person in your courtroom, but you also have to be accountable to the people who elected you and to all the citizens within Jefferson County. You're muted.
So you said that you gotta be loyal to everybody, just not to one, not just not to one race, but to everybody, right?
Right. I was elected to represent all of Precinct 1, that whole jurisdiction. And, it is a very diverse district. We have African Americans, we have Hispanics, we have whites, we have Vietnamese, we have all different cultures, all different ethnicities, and I have to represent everyone. I obviously stand before you as an African American woman. right? So that's clear who I am. And the family that I'm raising are Black children with a Black husband. That's clear. That's who I am. But when it comes time to be a judge, you have to be fair to everyone. You have to treat everyone the same and have the same intentions when you make those decisions.
Tell me how broad is precinct 1?
How large is it?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to say about 60,000. I'm just going to say voters that I know of, but it's humongous. It is all of the west end of Beaumont, southwest, so out there by Brooks Road to Walden area. Then we go all the way out to North Texas. We have places out by Plant Road. We go all the way out to Bevel Oaks, a little bit down 90 as well. So, I mean, we just encompass so much of the county, especially Beaumont. Like we take up about a good 3/4 of Beaumont, all of the north and the west end of Beaumont, which is a very diverse population because, you know, if you drive in Beaumont, like I'm at the soccer fields now and it's cows and stuff behind me, but you can go to some more so urban areas, and you know, so it's just this area is very diverse, and so it's exciting to be able to represent such diverse people.
So it doesn't out of Beaumont, right? It's like Port Neches or Cheeks or stuff like that. It doesn't exceed out there.
No, so not Cheek. Cheek is not my territory, but I do go into it's all Beaumont, some unincorporated areas because Bevel Oaks and then like Northwest Forest and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
So what is the biggest change? What are the biggest changes you think we need to our justice system?
I think we need people who have a mindset that we should be fair to everyone. And I think there's this confusion, if you ask me, about what that means when you have discretion. I think discretion is something that can be very difficult to understand because, yeah, it gives you leeway, right? It gives you an opportunity to examine facts and make different rulings, but you got to go to the heart of the matter and what your intentions are. And I feel like sometimes we have people in places to affect our lives that don't have the best intentions for everyone. And we see that in the way that they rule in court. We see that in the legislation that they roll out. We see that in their rhetoric. And when we have people like that in places that affect our lives, and we don't even believe that affects us, maybe we don't feel like we have to vote because that person doesn't affect us, but it absolutely does, because the head of an organization, right, that filters down to everybody underneath. And I think we've seen that over the last 4 years, what leadership that perpetuates negativity can do to all facets, and that even includes the justice system, because some of the things that have been rolling out in the last few years have been very, very disenfranchising to minorities. And so I think it's the intentions, it's the kind of people that we have in office who have a mindset that is not about fairness and equity to all. So what do we do about it, right? What do we do about that? You vote those people out, and you vote people in who have the best interests and have the intentionality to affect change for the better for everyone, and who believe in equity and fairness across the board.
Okay, so what made you want to run for justice of the peace?
Well, that's a story there, but I'll just say I didn't intentionally when I graduated school, I knew I was interested in politics, which is why I mastered in public administration, but I didn't think I was gonna run for office. I thought maybe I would be a political consultant because I like to analyze those things and see government in that way. And then I just kept seeing that there was change I wanted to see, and I just wasn't seeing it being done. And I said, okay, so how long are we gonna expect certain change and not do anything to affect that change? And so that was a call to action for me. And so in 2019, and I had looked at the Justice of the Peace office a few years prior to 2019, but in 2019 is when I was being wrestled with, and I really knew that I had to do something different, because I felt like I was sitting on this purpose and this calling to do something for my community. And when I really assessed and analyzed the JP office, I realized that this is the entry point to really affecting a lot of our community and really making the change that we want to see happen right there in that lower level court.
So I know that you're glad that, I know that you're glad that you won, that it's over. And, because right now, you're on the ballot, but it's uncontested because you won, the last election. But as far as you coming together with the other JPs, how would you come together with them,
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there are some amazing JPs that are sitting right now, and amazing ones who've come before me. And so I'm gonna have to lean on them. When I get into office, there's gonna be a time period before I go to my JP school. So I'm having to lean on them and learn from them. And a few of them have already been reached out and been extremely helpful, providing me with good material to read, to understand what I'm walking into. So that's a part of my nightly routine, is to make sure that I read and I focus in on things that are important in our county, because not all JPs see the same type of cases, not even within our county. So a relationship with my colleagues is imperative, and I do look forward to that.
So whose place were you taking?
Um, Judge Ken Dollinger, and he's
Okay.
hiring.
So
He
you
served in that position for almost for 20 some years, and so he served very, very long there, and he has done great things in that office, and I look forward to building on those things.
do you see yourself going forth with other things? I know you got to settle in with the JP right now. Do you see yourself going forth, beyond this?
Like another office or something?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't. I won't say no. I'll say that I'm very, very focused on this office and what we can do here. And I want to see the plans that I have in place, and that I want to roll out. I want to see those things mature. I want to be able to analyze how those things affect our community. I want to be the best JP that I can be, and whatever comes from that happens, organically or whatever. That's that we have to assess that then. But I don't see past the job that is in front of me, and the job in front of me is to be the best JP and to serve my community.
Right. I know you mentioned that you want to see the plans that you have in place. A lot of people have plans in place, and they have promises in place. So
Mm-hmm.
what are some of your plans that you have in place? I don't know. I know you can tell me everything. But what are some of your plans that you have in place?
Yeah, so when I was running back in July, I really sat down and I looked at the JP office that I'm walking into, and I came up with a 90-day action plan. So that's something that I look forward to doing as soon as I come into the office. Obviously, I want to come in and I want to assess personnel policies and procedures and make sure that they're working efficiently for our community. So that's number one. I want to do that. I want to redesign and repurpose the JP website. And whether that means working with our county to do so, or working with an outside vendor, to make it look like something that is accessible to everyone, that has clear icons, clear places for you to find your information, that has language translators, because we don't all speak English in this district. And so it's important that all of our citizens can see and be able to read and find the information that they need. So, I mean, those are just some key things that we want to initially roll out. But far stretching plans is some of my community programs that we're gonna put into place. It's kind of just following some of the vein of what I did when I was campaigning. What I'm seeing is that our community wants tangible people who are visible, elected officials, people who they can talk to, people who will hear them and who can actually point them in the direction for the resources and the change that they need. And so I am that person. That is what I ran on. When I said the people's choice, that was more so because in the March primary, I became the clear vote get winner. But as we got out in the community more and more and more, you just start to see, like, people just want someone who is there, who can help them, who can educate them and guide them to the things that they need. And so I look forward to continuing community programs that can assess and that can address and provide resources for the needs that are in our county. Which and the needs are great. The needs are great in our county, but we have some great folks here. We have some great organizations that we can partner with, and I look forward to doing those things.
I know you. I know you have looked around. Probably looked around the community or in the office and everything, and there are some things that you want to change. So, what conflicts have arisen already that you think that you need to take care of immediately when you go into the office?
I think any person who's been in a leadership role or a management role knows what it is to come into an environment where you have established, personnel and policies and procedures. And some people may be reluctant to change. I don't know that to be the case in this particular office. I've already had conversations with the staff coming in. I just know that there are changes that will be made as far as how we do certain things, because it's time for us to progress in the way the JP office processes and does things, and I look forward to doing those things. And so, and I even told the person, I feel like I'm a pretty simple person. I just want you to do the very best and go above and beyond within the confines of the law. And if you can get on board with that, if anyone can get on board with that, then we shouldn't have any issues. My main thing is making sure that I get the county site together, our resources displayed in a way for our citizens that it makes sense. And that may be something different, and that bucks a little bit of some of the things that have gone on before, but we need to provide people with the resources that they need, and we need to make it clear and understandable for them.
So, how would the community know that whatever you put in place was there? I mean, would there be some? How can you express that to the community? Because we're not gonna be there in the courtroom. I know some of I don't plan to be in nobody's courtroom unless
I don't want to see you there. But so I mean, and hey, you're hitting on something that I think is pivotal, and that is how we utilize social media, how we utilize reaching our community where they are. I can't expect for the things that I do in my office to get broadcast across my district unless you come to my courtroom. So using social media as a tool, my Justice of the Peace office will definitely have a page. You'll see activity, you'll see the things that we have going on. I believe in transparency, and I'm coming in and I'm learning. So you'll see me learning, you'll see me assessing, addressing it, and trying to polish and tweak it to make it perfect. And you're going to see that. And again, like I said, those community programs, making sure that you guys see me out in the community, and I'm telling you about the things that are being rolled out and what we have going on. So those, to me, you have to meet people where they are. Everyone is not going to come to me, and I understand that. And I think it's important that as elected officials, we also take that approach to how we perform our duties in general.
Okay, so what is your main focus on as far as JP? What is your main focus on? Like, you have the municipal court and you have other court, Judge Duke Jones Court, and then how would you be? Where will you be in that area?
Yeah, so our court is very similar to Judge Duke Jones Court. We are in the court, and we're in the courthouse. We're across from the jail. We see a lot of truancy. Not truancy. We see a lot of eviction cases in our courts. We see a lot of civil cases. Small claims just increased up to $20,000 to be seen in that court. So those type of cases have increased. We see a lot of civil cases there. Even and also DPS tickets. Things that happen criminally, things that are not fine, not jail time required. So a lot of fines that come, we'll see a lot of those things in that court. And so we have to manage all of those things and still have the community piece to it. And so I think that it's important that while we manage the job, we also make sure that we still have the expectation of what the community wants, and they want someone who's tangible. And I think that that's maybe the difference, and that's more so what my focus would be on.
Did you know your son just left out the car?
Yeah.
Okay. I got an eye for you. Okay. Okay. So you're close to the constable, right? Is
Yeah.
that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, so Constable Precinct 1, Javon Pollard. She's amazing. She's on the ballot right now, and we need to continue to have great people in that position. She has done a lot to just kind of help me understand some things that go on also in our precinct. So she's been a great asset, a great tool to our community, and definitely for Precinct 1.
Right. I had her on I think it
Yeah.
was last week, and then she said some of the things that you're talking about. So that I kind of put those two together. So another question is, what reforms do you support to increase access to justice for all, and would you fight?
So yeah, I'm gonna fight for anything that provides true equity and justice for everyone. When we start talking about certain reforms, I'm all about bail reform. I think the cash bond and bail system that we have in place, it has to go. It is detrimental to minorities and people in low income people. It's not what I want to do, and what I will do with the sheriff's office is to make sure I make myself available to arraign prisoners and people, to make sure that they're not spending so much time in jail. I feel like if you have not committed a serious offense, something egregious that makes you a threat to the community, then you should not have to be sitting in jail. Okay, and that's my belief, and so that is the practice that I will come in as judge, to make sure that I make myself available to that, because I don't believe that a college student who has warrants or whatever because of tickets, and now they're sitting in jail for all this time, that they should be sitting in jail for 3 days just because they don't have the money or somebody didn't come arraign them or whatever the case is. That's just not how we help our community. There's nothing, no one is benefiting from that. And so that's the kind of thought process we need to take to reform. How Who's benefiting from the laws that exist, and who's being adversely affected from these laws, and how can we change them to make sure that the most, if not all, the majority plus are being have the advantage in this situation.
I know a lot of people out there listening to you. They're like, yes, because you find somebody with a traffic ticket and they like have like a year in jail, and that's just wrong. Know? But that sounds good. And those bail bonds, I agree with that. That's just too much. And somebody you take it away from household. Of course they committed a crime, but it wasn't a big crime. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't a huge crime. It wasn't a crime whereas they killed somebody or something like that. All they did was have traffic tickets. And they can pay for those traffic tickets, but then you gotta have a bail bond and say, okay, $500. You gotta get me out $500, but $5,000 is the crime. Is your it's the cost. So now I need $500. Get me out, and that's wrong. That's wrong.
And the justice system shouldn't be aiding and perpetuating a cycle of poverty, right? There's enough things that exist in this world that help that continue and keep people trapped. The justice system should not be one of them, and my courts will not be one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit your share button so you can hear Justice Peace Naomi Door, Shower Door tonight. Okay, so how do you define injustice?
Injustice is when someone is done wrong, someone is treated less than human, does not have access to the basic rights of being a human being. That is injustice. When someone is just uh, persecuted or discriminated against or not treated the same as their brother or their counterpart or whomever, now that's injustice. So The thing about injustice is it's everywhere in so many different facets, right? Not, of course, not just in the judicial system, but you see it in schooling, you see it in households. Anytime someone is being wronged, you see injustice, and when we see it on the judicial level, it's an escalated magnitude, right? We're seeing it where there are forces that exist, there are structures that exist that are perpetuating the behavior that allows for injustice. And so I talked about the cycle of poverty, but the judicial cycle, if we don't break some of the things that exist that can adversely affect certain communities, we are going to continue to see certain pockets of people um, in a downtrodden state. So we have to do something better about how we address injustice, and I think it starts again, I'm going back to voting, and I hate to harp on that, but it's so true. But it starts on how we elect people into office and the kind of people that they are and what they believe in and what their intentions are, and then it goes up to how they actually legislate and how they rule in their courtrooms.
Okay, I've seen judges whereas they get ready give the verdict on something, and they ask someone how much change you have in your pocket, and they'll say I have 50 cents. Okay, 50 years in jail. That's injustice. So how would you deal with the injustice in your courtroom?
So, first of all, I don't plan to be the judge that's delivering injustice, but I know that can come in some of the cases that are brought to the courts. How people, if people plan to sue someone, what their intentionality is. Are they just trying to antagonize this particular person? Are they just doing this to put their foot on someone's back and keep them down? So when I see things like that, I think it's imperative that I make judgment calls and I use my discretion to make sure that those type of people are not being rewarded for injustice and trying to do wrong and cause harm. And not just that they're not rewarded, but when applicable, that they are fined appropriately.
Okay, now I'm a mother. I and I like I said, I have children, and I don't want your dad or our pastor saying you had Naomi out there and it was dark.
I just tried to turn my light up. Can you see me?
But I don't want you being out there on the soccer field by yourself. You know.
There's people here, but yes.
Okay. Because I ain't gonna be the one. You had Naomi out there.
Not on my show, huh?
So tell us a little bit, and I'm not gonna hold you long because I do want you to go. I do want you to get out of there. Plus, you work at the election office. I know they're gonna hate you leaving there, and I know you're gonna miss that office. But tell us a little bit about how excited you are about going into this position.
I'm absolutely elated. I love to learn. I love to learn new things. Not only to learn, but to be able to analyze and assess and try to make sure that the best policies and procedures and whatever is being had. Like I live for that. That's something that is just it excites me. And when I look at the JP office and I look at the work that we can do there, and the way that we can serve this community in that office, it makes me excited because there's so much work that we can do. There's so much good that we can do, so much change that we can make. And to be able to be a part of that is monumental for me. And yes, I absolutely love being elections manager. I think the importance of voting is critical, and so that will always be a passion of mine. And I'm sure everyone will continue to hear it throughout my tenure. But I just think that when you are called for something greater, to use your assets and your skill set for something greater, which is serving our community, then you absolutely must do it. And I am very excited to be seated.
I've seen you put your best foot forward. With the election office, I've seen you, talk to the people about what we need to do and stuff like that. Because I do work at the post, and that's what really drew me to you, because you were young, and you talk, the way you were talking to people, and people, they got on my nerves. So, but you were just like smooth sailing, you don't worry about it. You have to do this, and we appreciate you. And yes, we will miss you. And if I continue to work as a poll worker, then I will miss you in the office. If I call and see what's going on, but you have to go on. You have to go on. So, as with this being said, I'm gonna have to let you go, because, like I said, I am a parent, and I cannot stand to see you out there in that field in the dark.
Well, I want to apologize for that. It's a bunch of stuff going on right now. And I did just leave work, and I had to get one kid to soccer. I'm about to go to a volleyball game. It's always something around here. But I apologize for that. And maybe we can do this another time when I'm at home in my studio, and we can really delve deep and go deeper, especially once I get into office, because I'm excited. I mean, you'll be a great platform for me to continue to keep the community abreast about what we're doing and what the plans are.
Now, one thing, I'm always here for you. Anytime you want to come on, hey, just say, Deborah, I want to come on, whatever, and then we got you. So with that being said,
I'm gonna miss my coworkers so much. So I'm gonna miss y'all. But I'm not far. Y'all can come visit.
I'm not coming to your court.
That's all right. That's all right.
Not unless I have to evict somebody.
Okay. Well,
I'm not planning on doing that. So with that being said, we love you, and we're gonna have to end it early tonight, guys. Like I said, Naomi is out in the dark, and she will be back, because I will ask her to come back on here, and we'll get it together. So is that anything else you want to say to the public before we get off?
Yeah, I just want to say again, thank you to everyone who had confidence in me and voted for me to be your next Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1, Place 1. It is truly a historic moment in Jefferson County. We do have our first African-American female Justice of the Peace, and that's amazing. It's 2020. I feel like we're a little bit behind the times on that, but that's okay. We kind of usher in the change that we want to see in our community, make sure that everyone gets the fair in their day in court. And so I look forward to serving you all with excellence. So I'm just excited. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote down the ballot. We have amazing people on that ballot. We have a very instrumental sheriff's race. Sheriff Stevens has been doing an amazing job. She is truly an amazing woman. I look up to her so much. And Miss Carolyn Guidry is my boss, and she has been a tremendous mentor for me. So just know we have amazing female leadership on that ballot, and make sure you vote down the ballot.
I did everything she said. We have amazing people who run for re-election and run for office, period. So just vote down that ballot. Look for a Democrat, and then vote that's under the person's name, and then vote down the ballot. So we love you, and I know I will be talking to you tomorrow.
I know. Well, I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully it's not nothing bad.
Okay, then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Deborah Jones with Blue Table Talk. And if there are any questions that you would like to put on the viewers list, then you can do so, and I could speak to Naomi anytime and ask those questions. Okay, thank you for sharing with us tonight, and we love you. If I can do anything, if I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you, and God keep you is my prayer.